Representative Dottie Bailey filed an amendment to fine the Department of Social Services $50,000 whenever it fails to report a child in foster care as missing.
You can see behind me, visibility along I-90 is down to almost nothing.
The rare collaboration from typically opposing sides is putting new bills on the horizon to improve the outcome for kids in foster care in the state. There were some bills introduced today that were not at all related to tax cuts, but I'm told that it's unlikely those bills will receive much attention in the chambers. Both county health departments say that anyone who tests positive with an at-home COVID test should tell their local health department. Across the board, money talks. Right now, lawmakers are working on a plan to raise the pay schedule for its frontline staff handling its caseload. An outside consulting firm hired by the DSS revealed some grim statistics about its staffing retention. System leaders are hoping NextGen has a clean bill of health. From testing to treatment, System President Moon Choi says the building is worth every dollar of the $214 million bill. But what leaders wanted came with another question. Who's going to pay for it? Well, the first stop was asking the state for $150 million in fiscal year 2019. That's an ask that State Senator Caleb Rowden and former state representative Kip Kendrick say was too big of a bite.
When they talked about the funding need and what they're hoping from the state, it also coincided with the difficult budgeting time for the state.
The university, they put a lot of chips on the table on this thing.
MU didn't ask the state capitol for everything. It privately raised nearly $38 million. That's less than a quarter of the total price. And when MU broke ground in 2019, it was time to pay up. It withdrew nearly $71 million from its reserves to keep the construction going.
Whatever means that we had available to complete this building, we needed to take that risk because it was that important.
After the groundbreaking, the university still didn't have all the money it needed. The new expectation, get the state to chip in $10 million year after year.
If you're asking for $150,000, then that's couch cushion money, we call it down here. But you know, $10 million a year is a lot of money here.
I think we could have done more. I wish we would have done more.
So I was a little skeptical that we were going to be able to get it done.
In spring of 2020, MU borrowed millions of dollars from a revenue bond for the NextGen Precision Health Institute. But debt has to be paid back, and with interest. And across 30 years, that puts the real cost of NextGen at almost $276 million. But now lawmakers added the project to MU's core funding, and that means MU will get a guaranteed $10 million more each year. But going forward, costs will go up. The center will require millions of dollars to operate each year, and MU is seeking federal grants to fund its research. The Institute's namesake, outgoing U.S. Senator Roy Blunt, has a track record of bringing home those federal grants.
I assume that there will be additional funding. I mean, he's been a big funder, big supporter of NIH grants in the past.
Senator Blunt's office said his schedule was too jam-packed to give an interview for this story before the opening. But his help and other lawmakers at the state and federal level remains a crucial priority in producing meaningful research.
Even if it only does what it's supposed to do, it still is going to make a big difference in the world.
But only time will tell if the final bill was worth the cost. I'm Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News, Columbia. The only thing that can outshine a sunny day might just be Hayden Whitman. Hayden and his family came to Columbia Regional Airport today for a pancake charity breakfast.
And this one's the pilot?
Dozens of pilots raised more than $1,200 for a children's emergency shelter in Columbia.
So you have to go like that?
Melissa Farrow says that those donations will go far.
I just think that the support that we continue to get from the community is really amazing, and I'm really thankful for the event today.
Cole Finley usually watches the airport's traffic from its control tower. But today, he saw it all from behind the grill.
I'll cook pancakes all day long if people are going to come in and, help kids out. So I'm just over the moon about it. I'm really excited.
The excitement,
yes, I think that's it,
stretches the entire length of the runway.
We may have, lit a spark in a kid's imagination today to be like, wow, I can do this for a career or a hobby.
Yes, someday to get a pilot license. To fly a little airplane like this.
Hayden Whitman could be the next person to lift up the charity work of Missouri's pilots. Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News, Columbia. Climbing higher.
Inflation has become a problem for all the sides.
Small businesses typically like increasing numbers, more sales, more revenue, but not when it comes to inflation. Just ask Sasha Lofquist, the operations manager for Crandall Manufacturing, who has spent 20 years in the business.
Inflation affects us many ways. It's from the part cost that we buy every day. On average, you're talking an 8% increase on a lot of the parts that we've seen.
As for what makes those prices go up, candle maker Keani Stark says it usually stems from the supply chain getting strained, creating scarcity and demand.
Definitely shipping, and then some of the fragrances I use have gone up.
And when businesses have to pay, that often falls back on you, the consumer. Stark says inflation has only caused minor challenges for her company, but she says increased costs from inflation have put her in a tough spot to either take that loss or pass it on to customers.
Getting people to buy if you raise your prices too because of the inflation. You have to make it for yourself too.
But the Small Business Development Center in Rockford is trying to change that.
We are working together to bring all this education, all these tools to the community.
History shows it won't be like this forever.
I do believe it will come back, but I don't believe it'll ever go back to where we were before.
Rockford small business owners all know what goes up must come down.